The San Antonio Spurs quietly have something cooking with this, as one particular player has shone above the rest in Summer League so far. One of the more unexpected stories of this summer. We have to dive into David Jones-Garcia, what he's doing and how he is making a case for one of the Spurs' last two-way spots. We got highlights, we got all kinds of stuff on him, but there's also one other Spur I want to talk about that has been a bit of a disappointment relative to expectations. And finally, we got to talk about a trade that was officially finalized today for the San Antonio Spurs. All that coming up on this episode of Spurs Digest. But hey, before we get into a quick reminder, I know I say it every video, but every time I say it, you guys subscribe. So I'm sorry if it's repetitive, but 70% of you still haven't subscribed. And we got daily Spurs content coming all off season long. Thank you so much for being such a loyal viewer if you're a returning viewer. And if you're a new viewer, well, I sure hope you enjoy what we have to say here as we're going to dive into the trade that was finalized. Now, before you go read this, this is just the original draft night trade that was finalized, and we all remember on draft night, it was the first draft pick trade of the night. The Spurs traded the number 38 pick in the draft to the Indiana Pacers for a future second round pick and cash. And we were like, okay, fair enough. Like, we have too many young players already. We don't have really that much space to have all of these picks coming in. So that trade was officially finalized today, where the Spurs said, okay, we're going to take a 2030 second round pick and cash. And of course, the Pacers ended up selecting Cameron Jones by the Spurs. So they took Cameron Jones, the draft rights to him. But I just thought this was really interesting because I was like, well, what is 2030? Why 2030 in particular? And the real answer is, well, there's probably nothing to this, right? It's probably just a year in the future where the Spurs are like, okay, most of the guys that we have right now, they're rookie scale deals. Like if we draft now, your rookie scale deal, if you make the NBA, is usually 4 years, right? And there's options, there's all this kind of stuff, team options, but realistically, if you get guys that are legit roster players for a while, this is maybe, 4 years from now, we're going to get close to 2030, so this is when the Spurs would be stocking up more picks. Also, that's the first year without De'Aaron Fox, and again, maybe you want to replenish something through the draft that way from the Pacers. Look, I don't know. Realistically, does it make that much of a difference? Probably not, but when the trade is finalized, I want to cover it here, because there are these little quirks to these things, and it's fun to discuss. Hey, maybe 2030 was picked by the front office for a specific reason, when, like I said, in reality, probably not, but very interesting nonetheless. Leave your thoughts. Maybe there is something more to this down below. Just a little bit of a fun thing to open the video, but I want to dive into the main part of the video. And before we get into David Jones-Garcia and the crazy stuff that he's doing, and honestly, his stats from the G League last year shocked me because I did not know much about him. We're not going to dive into him first. First guy I want to talk about actually is Harrison Ingram. Now, look, Harrison Ingram, we've talked about him on the channel before. I'm in the 48th overall pick in the draft, I believe, recently, right? Not this year, but past. Excuse me, but this year with the Austin Spurs, with Harrison Ingram, he has a style of play. And his style of play is very much hustle, play good defense, get some rebounds. For his size, he's 6'5", 6'6". He averaged 9.4 rebounds per game in the G League last year, 12.8 points per game, 4.3 assists. Harrison Ingram is one of those guys that can do a bit of it all, and he's a very solid defender. He gives his all every single second he is on the floor. But where are the stats? There are the stats. But when you look at the stats here, I know you can see David Jones-Garcia, spoiler for the stats, but there's more to that we're going to get into. Harrison Ingram, again, didn't really stand out. Now, he has 5 steals through his first 2 Summer League games, and that's a definite positive. He has 8 points in each of the games, 6 rebounds again today, and he was noticeable on the glass. The problem with Harrison Ingram, he only played 14 minutes. He didn't even have a foul, 2 turnovers. It feels like he's a step slow. And I worry about that because I really like Harrison Ingram, and I'm very hopeful that he can eventually carve his way maybe to an end-of-the-bench NBA role. But watching him in Summer League, it feels like he's a little outclassed in terms of his offense, right? His offensive game is really not there. And not only was it not there, is the rest of his game, even though it's kind of rounded out, again, great rebounder, he's actually an underrated playmaker, really. Like, if you watch some of his G League stuff, he can make some very solid plays, and he's a great hustle guy, great defender, these attributes every NBA team wants. But when you have such a slow first step, and I don't mean to say slow first step, let's be honest, it's 50 times faster than mine. I'm here sitting in my chair in my basement with my Spurs jerseys behind me. No, I'm not going to beat Harrison Ingram in a foot race. Neither are you. But when it comes to the NBA level, Harrison Ingram, it just doesn't quite cut it. And I don't like that for his offense, because in a league where offense has become more and more important, defense still is. But if you don't have that offensive upside, there are often other guys who are pretty good at defense that do have that offensive upside that could usurp you in terms of your role. So I'm really hopeful that Harris and Ingram can get it together and maybe have a better summer league as we go on. And again, today, a day where Carter Bryant didn't even friggin' play, I was hoping to see a bit more from him. But look, I'm hopeful for a bounce back. I really like my boy Harrison Ingram, and I'm excited to see what's next for him. But there was a real star of the show tonight. Look, you can pick some of these other guys. I really wish we could have seen Carter Bryant, Dylan Harper, even Riley Minnick's play. But Jameer Nelson Jr. Had such a weird game. Dude was just like SGA, just a free throw merchant today. 12 points, 1 for 6 from the field. Crazy stat line. Tried to follow up that amazing first game. But one guy that followed up on his decent point production first game is David Jones-Garcia. He dropped 25 points with 3 rebounds, 3 assists, and 3 steals, 6 turnovers, but his efficiency was way better tonight. 9 for 14 from the floor. And the big thing with David Jones-Garcia, well, we'll just roll the highlights, some of his stuff, is his shot. Now, I'm going to get into something very interesting here. The Spurs might be sneakily cooking with him because, look, we have a two-way spot available as far as I'm aware, right? And a guy like this, if his 3 can continue to stay where it is, because like that kind of shot there is probably not going to fly too much in the NBA, but if his 3 can stay where it is, that's what you want to see. He's a multi-level scorer, but that's not the only thing. And we have this from Spurs Reporter, who does outline a bit of David Jones-Garcia. He's emerged as one of the most compelling names on the young roster. I completely agree. He's Dominican, which is really cool. First of all, 6'6", he lit up the G League last year in Mexico City with the Capitales. 21.5 points per game, 7 boards, 3 assists. He had a 50-point game, a triple-double, multiple 38-point, 20 rebound games. He's a physical downhill scorer with a relentless motor and the tools to defend multiple positions. Now, the tools to defend multiple positions, whether or not his defense in multiple positions would actually fly in the NBA, that might be a different story, but that's not really the point here. But look, watch him. If his shot, 34% from deep, 91% from the line, continues to trend up, San Antonio may have a real pro here. And I thought, wow, those are crazy numbers, right? Like, that's really, really crazy. Let me look into David Jones-Garcia. But by the way, we won. I feel like I should open with that. We won. We beat that was a tight game down to the wire there. I don't know how many of you actually watched this, but it was a fun game to watch. But David Jones-Garcia, last year with the Mexico City Capitales, he went to Memphis. He's from the DR. He's born in 2001, so he's 24 years old right now, or 23. He's almost 24 years old. Still pretty young. You can see here, 24, 25, actually averaged, I think, more than they were saying. 24.5 points per game, 7.5 rebounds, 3.2 assists. He averaged about a steal and a half and almost a block a game. And if I go here, where is it? Oh, I got so many things. Here we go. Here, let's make it even bigger. You can see, that's his totals this year. So just with his totals this season were the 7.5 rebounds and that point total I saw. But just with Mexico City, 24.7 points per game. With Salt Lake City, it was a bit lower at 20.5. But the big thing to watch with him is that 3-point percentage. Like Spurs Reporter said, he doesn't get to the line a ton, but when he does, he makes those free throws. Career 91.3% from the free throw line, 24.5 points per game, like we saw, well, career this season, I should say, in the G League, but still 91% from the line, 34% from 3. And when you're able to do this kind of stuff here, if you're able to shoot the 3, which is, at the NBA level, you assume he's going to be a little bit better because he's shooting pretty high volume in the G League where he's taking a lot of off the dribble threes, which is not really his bread and butter. I mean, if we restart this here, you can see like his catch and shoot. That's a nice form. Lefty forms are always nice, but he can do that. He's getting into traffic here, and he's not afraid to finish over the hand, contesting him. He's able to get physical with people, someone that's smaller than him, get downhill, get an and one there. That's such the interesting part with David Jones-Garcia that I'm kind of intrigued. And again, I don't think he's going to be one of these guys that just stays with the Spurs long-term or anything like that. But to have him on the Summer League roster, I wouldn't mind bringing him into the organization in some capacity. I would not mind to see him play with the G League this year. Be one of those guys that can go out and score every single night. Try and show the other guys who's boss there. Look, I'm coming in here. Harrison Ingram, I stole your Summer League spot. I'm stealing the spotlight from you. It's really, really interesting. So, look, I mean, it's, again, not a massive difference maker, but I've been super impressed with David Jones-Garcia, and I want to hear your guys' thoughts on what's going on, because this Summer League's pretty fun so far. I wish Carter Bryant would have played. He's not playing back-to-backs right now, so we didn't have either of our first-round draft picks this year playing, but that's when you see these guys like this step up, and I find it so fun. So leave your thoughts down below, but that'll do it for this episode of Spurs Digest. If you enjoyed, leave a like, comment, subscribe to the channel. Thank you so much for tuning in every single day. It means the world to us. I've been your host, Josh Gosse, and I'll catch you all in the next one.